everyone, it's Jessica. Thanks for being with me here today. So I am super excited to start creating with this new sticker sheet and paper pack. This is the Close to My Heart Gnomes for Winter collection, and I really am enjoying all of these stickers here. I think they are so cute. I'm a big fan of snow days, so I think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. They have some really pretty papers in this collection. I've got them flipped over so that you can see both sides, but really just a great winter themed paper collection. Love this plaid here. I think that that's really versatile. And then this last paper here has some fun icons on it. Now we do have 4 bunnies at our house, and so I thought it was cute that there was a little bunny on there. The other side it does have gnomes, but just a really great winter paper collection. There are other things that you can get that go along with this collection. I picked up the acrylic snowflakes. I thought all of this would be perfect to scrapbook some photos that I have of my kids making a snowman. Now I did turn to the zip strip at the top of the paper pack just to see what other colors were used in this collection, because there's a lot of white with that snow in the sky in my photos, and I thought I don't think I'm gonna mat these on a white piece of paper, so I'm gonna mat them in periwinkle instead. Now I'm working off of the pattern from the Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 book, and I've just turned to pattern number 15. It calls for 6 pictures, which is perfect for what I've got going on with the snowman photos of my kids. Now right off the bat, I noticed that there is a little border that shows on the bottom or the base of the layout. And rather than using cardstock, I thought it might be fun to do one of the pattern pieces instead. Originally, I was drawn to that snowflake paper, but then once I put the white daisy on it just to kind of get a feel for what that little border would look like, I felt like too much of it was lost and it kind of took away from the beauty of it. So I flipped it over, and I really like that plaid side maybe a little bit better. I kind of did it back and forth a little bit. I do decide to go with the plaid side. I think that it works well with the colors that are in my photo, and there's just enough of it showing that it doesn't kind of, lose anything when you put that white daisy over the top of it. I'm going to begin by cutting off that 1/2 inch zip strip just so I can get this down to a 12 by 12 paper. And then there is no way that I am going to cover up this entire sheet of pattern paper. It is just too pretty. And I do need to use both sheets that come in my pack in order to make the double page layout. So I'm going to do a partial gut just so that I can save some of that gorgeous paper. I'm a big fan of being frugal with my paper, or I don't know, sometimes it's just too pretty to use all of it and cover so much of it. So when I say a partial gut, you'll see what I mean here. I'm basically going to do like a big giant U out of it because the way that the pattern is set up, the 2 pieces in the center, the right and the left page where they meet, it's going to look like that white daisy piece is running all the way to the edge. So I really just need that border to show on 3 of the 4 sides. Here you can see I've got quite a bit of paper left over after doing that. I'll go ahead and do it to the second piece as well, since this is a double page layout. I've left myself enough room to add a little bit of adhesive to the edge, and I will go ahead and start framing this layout and putting it all together. So I really love these papers. I think they are so perfect if you've got any kind of outdoor photos from the winter. I know I have so many of my kids on snow days or making snowmen and things like that. So this is just going to be so perfect. Now, I didn't glue any of the papers or the photos down yet. I just wanted to kind of dry fit it and see how it went. I ended up putting a second photo mat on my photos. So I've got periwinkle and sapphire. And then I did cut up the pattern papers, and I want to do a little bit of ink distressing to them, but I'm not really sure what color. Now, usually I take the color that matches the paper and I just, do the different inks, but I wanted to keep this layout consistent. So I hope that if I use that mist color on all of the papers, that it's going to look good and cohesive, and it ends up being okay. So I just swipe the ink pad directly to the paper, and I'll go ahead and do all of that off camera so you don't have to watch me. The other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take this periwinkle cardstock that goes here, and I am going to use my little sanding disc tool just to scrape off the color from the edge of the cardstock. So between the ink distressing and the sanding distressing, I'm going to do a little something to all of the papers. Now we'll go ahead and finish gluing all of this down. Of course, it never fails, you know, right when you're ready to start gluing a bunch of things that your tape runner runs out. It's like, ugh, every single time. But I'll go ahead and adhere all of this down. And then that way I can take a look at, you know, I'm kind of thinking in my head, am I going to do some splatters or some like foam, like ink blending or something? But I just want to kind of get everything laid out first so I can see. Love using my T-square ruler in the Versamat for this, because if I can just get the first few pieces on straight, then I know that it will be easy to move forward from there. So I'll go ahead and hook this to the side of my Versamat and look at the pattern to see, you know, how far down do I need to go. Make sure that my page is actually on the Versamat straight. That's always key. Otherwise, things won't be straight after all. And then this is a pretty simple one to put together because it's just a couple of strips of tiny paper. And like I said, once I get that first one down, I can just kind of line everything up underneath of it. So this is a good layout to use some scraps of paper if you've got just little pieces of pattern paper left over. So I'll put that last piece on there, and I'll go ahead and get the right-hand page done too. I still haven't glued my photos down yet, or did I? No, I did not glue my photos down yet at this point because I wasn't sure if I was going to do some splattering, and I thought maybe it would be helpful to be able to pick them up and move them out of the way. So I know I want to put my title over here, and I went to the sticker sheet. I wanted it to be something kind of big because there's a lot of space over there, like a lot of space. I did like this one that talks about, you know, the weather is better together. I thought maybe I could also fill that space with a couple of snowflake thin cuts. So I went ahead and I cut those snowflake thin cuts out of some vellum. I don't end up using them, but at this point I wasn't really sure of that. I still felt like even with the thin cuts and the snowflakes and the sticker that there was too much stark whiteness over there. And whenever that happens, one of my favorite things to do is to just grab like a foam tool or a blending brush and just put like a wash of color behind titles or, you know, behind embellishments. And so here I am using my periwinkle ink, and I'm just going to put like a big cloud of that light blue all over that white space. I start right about where I know that sticker is going to be, so that way I can get most of the ink off in that spot and let it kind of fade out both above and below where that sticker title will end up going. It shows up a lot more in person, I know, because it is such a light color and it's so bright white on the paper that you can't see it very well on the video, but it definitely stands out a little bit more in person. And then I did decide to go ahead and do some splatters. So I grabbed my clear shimmer brush. I thought this would kind of be fun, sort of like, you know, snowflakes are sparkly when they're coming down and catching the sunlight. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to do that same sort of idea with the shimmer brush splatters. So I just made sure to get a little bit of ink going and make sure that it was nice and juicy. And then I used something to tap against it, and that created those fine little drops and splatters. I set it to the side to dry for a while because otherwise I'll smear it all over the place. So in the meantime, I turned to some stamps and some die cuts just so I can start creating my embellishment pieces. Now, I did not get the stamp set that goes along with this particular collection, but there is one. There is also a really fun gnome thin cut where you can create an ice skating gnome. I didn't pick those particular products up, but I do still have this old winter stamp set from last year. This is the Seas and Greetings winter stamp set. And I thought the snowman and the snowflakes on there would be perfect to just go along with this paper pack. And so that's something that I like to do quite a bit. I like to mix and match my collections. I mean, there's no rule, right? Like if it goes together, it goes together. And I thought these snowflakes were really cute. So I'm just stamping them in a variety of colors. I've got sapphire on the big ones, and then I did periwinkle on the middle-sized snowflakes. And then for those tiny snowflakes, I was like, well, I feel like I need a third color. but I didn't really know what other colors I wanted them to be. I felt like if I used mist that would kind of be an awkward snowflake color. So what I ended up doing was a second generation of sapphire ink on the tiniest snowflakes just to make them a little bit lighter, but not quite the same as the periwinkle. So here you can see I am stamping off on my sticky note first just to get the darkest bit of ink off of my stamp. And then before I clean my stamp off, I just stamp it a second time on my die cut, and it just leaves it in a lighter color. Now I am going to use this circle to help build one of my clusters. So I'm grabbing that same sanding tool and I'm just scratching off a bunch of the color from the edges. And then I'll also take it and just kind of scrub it across the center of the circle just to really give it a nice distressed look. Kind of looks like it's got some snow sitting on it. So you can tell I'm going with like a bit of a snowflake and snowman theme here. And it gets really dusty and dirty, so I definitely need to clean off my work surface first. Now, I won't make you watch me color all of my snowmen, but I did just want to show you that I used my tri-blend markers for these. That is probably my favorite way to do coloring on my stamped images. And then anytime I have an image like a snowman or Santa's beard or like a polar bear, anything that it's like a white image, but you don't want to just leave it plain white, what I like to do is use the lightest shade of my ice gray marker, and I just kind of put a shadow border around the outside edge. And then I grab my colorless blender and I just blend that out. So that way it's not just such a flat white, but it helps to give it a little bit of shadowing. And as that dries back, it really does kind of create that shadow effect. So I will do that on both of my snowmen. And then I did also die cut a couple of extra pieces of them, and I will glue them and stack them together. That has been my go-to trick these last several months. I really don't use as much foam tape anymore. I like stacking the die cuts together because they're so nice and solid, and it's easy just to grab all those little extra pieces of scrap paper that you got sitting around and, put them to good use. So about here is where I'm trying to work in those vellum snowflakes that I cut out. And even though they look really cute, I don't end up using them. So I'm also kind of looking at the sticker sheet, like what else can I put in here? I kind of like this little tiny word one, and so I'll stick it there on my anti-static pouch until I decide exactly what I'm going to do. And I'll spend a little bit of time kind of playing with where to put all of the snowflakes. I got a little frustrated on the right-hand side, so I switched and I went over to the left-hand side of my layout. And like I said, I knew I wanted to build my cluster on that circle, so I put the snowman on him, and then I kind of had a little bit of a cascading snowflake thing going on above his head. I still was feeling a little bit frustrated, so what I did is I brought both of my pages together so that I could see the whole double page spread as one. So I don't know if that ever happens to you when you're trying to work on just a page at a time, but it really is a double page layout. When I feel that way, I put it back together. That way I can see the big picture and what it will look like in my scrapbook. And it really kind of helps me to see that nice flow of where the clusters and the embellishments are. And I can make sure that everything is spread out nicely. So once I did that, I felt like the snowflakes and my little clusters kind of came together much easier. I did also put in all of those little acrylic snowflakes that came with this collection, and I mixed those with my stamped snowflakes. So here is where I feel like it's still kind of missing something. And so I went back to the sticker sheet and I tried out a couple of different stickers, but I didn't really like them. And so I walked away from the layout for a few days and I came back to it and I thought, nope, I think it's going to be fine. I'm going to leave it be. I didn't end up adding anything else. So I don't know. On one hand, I felt like it was a little plain, but I do love all of the sparkles and the little details and the snowflakes. And there's just a lot of white space, but that's kind of what it looks like when it snows at our house. So I figured that was fine. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching and that you've been inspired. I will leave links to anything that is available in the description box down below. I hope you're having a great day. Happy crafting. Bye.